What is going on? Welcome to episode 32 of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh. Player 2 is... what's your name today?
I think Hate Zero. We're going to go with Hate Zero.
Okay, Eric. And Player 3...
Thank you.
Player 3, Captain Logan. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. It is so good to be here. I'm really happy.
Awesome. Well, hey, before we get started, if you guys would like to get yourself a free audiobook from Audible, you can go to audibletrial.com/NPC, and there you can get Console Wars. Guys, it's 20 hours worth of audiobook, and I got 3 hours left. I have been absolutely loving it. Highly recommend it. The crazy thing is I've been tweeting at the author periodically, and then all of a sudden, like, the cast of the book started tweeting at me and stuff. So it's been a wild ride. So that's Console Wars. Check it out. They are making a movie, I guess. So so audibletrial.com/NPC. Whew. Okay.
Josh, when you're done with that, I'm starting up a new book, and I'm going to make this recommendation before I even dive that much into it. Masters of Doom is being narrated by Will Wheaton, and it's the story of the two guys that created like an empire of FPS. And I'm like 30 minutes into it. It's awesome to hear about these guys just kind of grow up and start working on their empire of Doom and Quake.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, sweet. Let's dive into this thing. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. We're late, a half hour late because my computer just sucks. So sorry, guys. There is a PC on its way that will hopefully work better than what I'm dealing with right now. So forgive me.
Can't work any worse. So.
Right. So we do this live. Twitch.tv/N64Josh. Supposed to be 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's almost 9. I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. We're giving away a copy of Sonic Mania a little bit later on in the show. And so that's for anybody that's here live with us. So hang out till the end. And, you have a chance to win Sonic Mania, which is awesome. We're going to get into it. But before we do, guys, Player 3 is Captain Logan. Welcome, dude. You hang out in the streams. I got to hang out with you down. We did like that NPC meetup down in Anaheim. We got to eat some food and hang for a while, and it was awesome. But we want to know a little bit about you. So give us the quick Nintendo history, and give us a few highlights, some of your favorite games along the way, the 64, the Super Nintendo, NES, that kind of stuff. And just give it to us.
So it's funny because like I look at my life and I know I'm 35 now, and it's been a nice life, but I guarantee you the biggest memories I have in my life are literally moments that involve Nintendo. And it's really funny to just kind of see what's going on with that. So my first biggest memory seriously has to be when I was 7 years old, because I was in Texas for my birthday, and I was staying with my aunt and my family and stuff. Biggest box I got, I opened it up, boom, there's the original NES in all of its glory with a zapper and Super Mario and Duck Hunt. Had no clue what it was. I didn't even get a chance to hook it up until I got home, but as soon as I got it home and I hooked it up, it was amazing. It was probably one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. And I spent all my time playing Nintendo games, and I used to I could not wait until we got to like video rental stores to check out new games. So the next one was definitely 1994. I got my next biggest birthday gift, which was a Super Nintendo that had A Link to the Past. And I got that, started out with Link to the Past. I couldn't get my sword in A Link to the Past. And that was really depressing, because that's like the first thing you do. You go into the castle and you get your sword, and I couldn't figure that out. No. And I'm like, I hate this game. It's dumb. I don't know what to do. So I put it away, and then I waited till I got Super Mario Brothers, and then I played that, and that was amazing. And then I probably like 3 years later, after like other games had come out, like, you know, Star Fox and Mario Kart, all these great games came out, and I'm like, I think I'll give Zelda another shot. You know, I haven't really give it a chance. It's just been sitting there for years, and then I got hooked, and that was the end of it. So then, leading up after that, the N64 came out, and I was like, man, I don't need 2D graphics anymore. Who does 2D? We're going to be jumping into 3D now. So I sold my NES, all my games, my Zapper. I sold my Super Nintendo, all of those games and the controllers. And just, I was like, all right, that's a good garage sale. Time to go get an N64. So
You just killed Josh inside a little bit.
It was, looking back, it was probably the dumbest thing I could have ever done. And it was the original Zapper 2, not the orange one. The orange one does not exist in my mind. That is yeah. So I sold everything to get a Super Nintendo or an N64, and the N64 was absolutely amazing. I spent so much of my life playing Super Mario Brothers 64 and beating it over and over and over again. And then I was like hooked on Zelda, and I couldn't let go. So when Nintendo Power kept coming out with those, like, it had the binder that was like the art of Link, I kept saving like each individual issue, and I would lay out on my family room floor while my mom was sitting there like working on laundry and watching her TV shows, and I would just have like every single page that had a little bit of information of Zelda Ocarina of Time for months, just all sprawled out on the floor. And my mom would sit there and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm memorizing the maps. I gotta know when this game comes out where I go exactly." And it was so it was pretty bad. But so I love that, and I was looking forward to it. And then I got to college, and I was like, you know, out in Tempe, Arizona, having a good time with some friends, and they had this big light show going on at one of the different warehouses, and I was like, well, what the hell is that? So one of my buddies was like, well, we'll go check it out. And we went and checked it out. And it's the Nintendo GameCube, like, party reveal event in Arizona. And we're like, hey, can we come in? They're like, yeah, sure. Come on in. Come play some games. And I'm like, I like games. Yeah, let's play some games. Sorry.
Are they drag racing outside your house right now?
That's Fast and the Furious?
No, that was actually Toad driving by. Oh. He was in 8th place. He just got Mario Karted real hard.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to go catch up.
I didn't hear him scream, "I'm the best," so I was confused.
So yeah, I went to the GameCube party, and that was a blast. I spent 3 hours, you know, playing Luigi's Mansion and Star Wars, and just, oh man, it was so much fun. And then like a week later, I went to the Microsoft one and played Halo, and that was awesome too. And then I quit, and I found PC games, and then PC games took over my life. And there's a little thing, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it was called World of Warcraft.
What is that?
Small game.
Yeah.
It was indie at the start. And I played that for a long time. And then about a year ago, I got back into Nintendo because I heard all these NX rumors, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, this sounds like it's way better than that Wii and Wii U, which I had no clue what that was. I was just like, oh, motion controls? I don't want to do motion controls. That sounds dumb. If I wanted to exercise, I'd go outside. So I didn't ever bother with those guys. And you can hate me later for that, because I'm sure I missed a lot of really good games. But then I decided to get back into it with a 3DS. And then after the 3DS, I mostly just kind of started picking up all my old Zelda games. And then when I got all my old Zelda games, that's when I just bought all in to the Switch. I got Zelda, and now, yeah, my 3DS is literally just an Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Zelda 2. That's all it's good for. Except for Metroid. So that's about as short as I can get it.
Hey, awesome, man. That's great. That's great. We're gonna jump right into our pickups for this week. What hey, what'd you pick up this week? Or Eric or Zero, or I don't know.
Whatever, you know, you can call me like Not My Trump or something. I don't know,
what did
whatever.
You say? You said Hate Zero, and I was like, you're like a cola, bro. Like, you remind me of
it's
a
like
soda.
You know, it's like Hate Zero the hero, you know? That's the one. It's from Deltron. You'll get there. I picked up Retro City Rampage, based on last week's show, and I was pleasantly surprised and irritated by some of their stolen references. It was comical. I recommend it to anyone who wants a quirky laugh. And then I picked up Sonic Mania this morning, and I put very little time in it, but the couple rounds I played were exactly Sonic as you would expect it to be.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I'm so pleased with it.
For sure.
Logan, is that all you picked up as well?
I've been, Splatoon has just been eating away at every hour that I'm not working, sleeping, sometimes eating. But yeah, I picked up Sonic and I played a little bit today, and then I watched a couple streams, and I can't wait to get deep into this. It feels so good to play like a solid Sonic game again. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I picked up too. I think I'm gonna get the Troll and I, but from everything I've seen, it's a garbage truck on fire, so I don't think I'll even open it. It'll just go right into the collection.
So you're getting that for the long day in the future where that's a landfill game? Is that the goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Plan ahead.
It'll be one of those games that there's not very many printed, more than likely, so it'll be worth a small fortune in 30 years when I'm not even here anymore. So, it's cool. I'm thinking ahead. Yeah. Hey, tell me a little bit more about Retro City, man. Like what did you get much time with it, or
I didn't put a lot of time into it, so I made it similar to where you went. I don't know about spoilers, but I've seen a few references. I too have fought the Ninja Turtles. They don't call them that, but the first part is stolen directly out of Batman. What was it? The Dark Knight, I guess. So it's stolen right out of the Dark Knight. So you're robbing a bank and with the Jester. But it's classic, and I kind of toyed around with some of you can like turn it into a retro CRT for your screen, or you can like change all the colors. You can go monochrome. You can make the game look even more ridiculous than it was intended.
Yeah, I messed around with it a little bit too. Like the screens were interesting. I think I looked at all of them and I was like, okay, that was fun. I'm done with that now. Let's move along.
Yeah, it's a novelty for sure.
So I've been listening, like I mentioned earlier, I've been listening to Console Wars. They've been talking about Sonic a ton, and Sonic Tuesday is kind of a big thing in the book right now because they that's what they called it back when they released Sonic 2. It was Sonic Tuesday. It was a real big deal for Sega, and here we are on a Tuesday with another Sonic game coming out. So I was like, oh, I've got to get this now. So I love the look and the feel of it. I think I heard somebody say like I in the chat yesterday, like how I don't know if I can play with the analog stick instead of a D-pad. It's just it's gonna be a little strange, but didn't feel out of place at all. One of the coolest things about the Sonic games from back in the day is you could speed run and just blaze through the level, or you could take your time and explore and find secrets and find different little treasures and that kind of stuff. And this is just like starting it up and I played it handheld, but like it seriously like took me back to, I had a buddy who I'd always play Sega with, and it just like it took me back to to his room as a little kid, like seeing Sonic for the first time, and they just did an excellent job. Like, so playing Sonic and Sonic 2, I have very, very fond memories of that. And then the other thing that's a ton of fun to do with Sonic, and I don't know if this one's going to be able to do it, but like My buddy and I, when we were working, we would do time trials on the Game Boy Advance. We would just pick one level and try to run through it as fast as we can, and we would just pass the controller back and forth. I'm like, dude, I knocked 4 seconds off. He's like, shut up. How'd you do it? Like, and so that kind of stuff with Sonic games is really fun. I don't know if that's going to be in this one, if they have anything like that or not. But so far, everything I've played, I think I played through the first world, and you just keep moving through this game. You don't stop.
Yep.
Like you beat a level and then it does that cool thing that the old Sonic games used to do where it like does like a third person where you've got to run around and chase something depending on how you finish the level or whatever the case may be. They did a great job, and we're gonna get into it more as one of our talking points. But man, it's
when would the appropriate time for the salt be?
oh, you're salty about this game?
I think
I have a complaint, and I think they'll patch it soon. I
haven't even run into anything
Yeah, I haven't
yet.
run into anything either.
Have you tried hitting the home button when you played the game at all?
No.
Because if you do that, there's an extreme lag. I held the home button down, hit sleep. It took 10 seconds of nothing on the screen indicating it's working before it would go to sleep.
So I don't know if this is a bug or not, but I feel like I'm going so fast in Sonic that I'm hitting the button and the button is reacting in real time. But because I've been going so fast in this game, it just feels super slow, like that scene in the X-Men where Quicksilver's just running and everything's just kind of like moseying on by. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I imagine at some point I'll get used to it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, more than likely. The thing I'm most surprised with is that the Switch has blast processing. That's what's the most surprising to me.
Yeah, I didn't think Nintendo could have blast processing.
I didn't either. Read Console Wars, you guys will know what a joke that is. So, oh man. So let's hit up the news. We'll dig a little deeper into Sonic Mania, and we got some other talking points. So, hey, go ahead and hit us with the first little bit of news there.
Yeah, so this is going to make me salty again, but EA is determining the level of support they're going to give the Switch based off of how well FIFA does. Have you guys heard that? Do you have strong opinions of this?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel good. It feels like if they want to commit to the system, they should just commit to the system. I mean, they come out with these franchise games every single year with updated rosters. I'm surprised they haven't gone to a service-based system for this yet. They're still selling like boxed copies, so it's one of those things like EA. I mean, they should see by now the writing's on the wall. Other companies have already jumped on it. Like the Switch is going to do really well. It's already doing way better than the Wii U was. People are going to want their games. They just shouldn't have to buy FIFA to get Madden. Like that shouldn't be how it goes.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because if most FIFA players, and this is maybe not true, but it's true in my mind, most FIFA players play on PlayStation. That's historically what I've seen. And the Switch is not going to change these people over to play FIFA on the Switch. So it's just you're setting the system up for failure. And I was trying to talk through Squirtle as hard as possible. I was trying to ignore it and focus, but I can't do Trump on the show, but he can bring Squirtle. Like, come on.
What Squirtle? What are you talking about?
We don't need it. We're not gonna have Squirtle.
There's no Squirtle.
On the show. There's no Squirtle on the show.
What is happening? Let's bring it back here. I mean, FIFA's one of EA's top-selling games every year. Like, sure. I think it sells better than Madden, from my understanding. Like,
yeah, because it's worldwide.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I don't know. I don't blame them for this, right?
Well, why not test with Battlefront instead of FIFA? If you're going to give us a test, give us Battlefront 2.
Well, that's a whole other development cycle. I don't even know if they could port that game because the Switch isn't strong enough. So it would be a whole different. And then maybe they have to do that with FIFA. I don't know. what FIFA is exactly, as far as, is it a 360 version of the
soccer
game? No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if they're
Football.
taking old assets and reusing them, or, and
My understanding is it is a full-fledged FIFA game, same as you'll get on any console, is what EA is saying. Now, obviously, graphically, it's not going to quite be as good as the PS4 and Xbox, and I don't know if that gets released on PC, but it's supposed to have every feature that those have. So it's not a nerfed game, so to say.
The problem that I have with this is not so much that they're trying to test the waters with their one of their biggest IPs. Is that there's nothing that they're showing that really kind of sells it for the system. I mean, every other publisher has said, yeah, we're going to support double Joy-Con play, like couch co-op. They haven't said anything, as far as I can see, that suggests that people are going to be able to play with 2 Joy-Cons. So I understand that people want this on the Switch because it'll be portable, but I mean, if they're not gonna at least work with Nintendo to try and make this a game that's going to be fun for everyone, the way that some of the NA or NBA games have been kind of shown as in their advertising, then yeah. I mean, I'm willing to wait to see when they're really going to commit.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Capcom did the same thing with Street Fighter, and when Street Fighter sold 500,000 copies, they were like, okay, here's Resident Evil. Right? I mean, that's what they did. I don't know if FIFA's the best choice. I kind of agree with you guys. I'm not sure that that's the best choice, but it is a very popular title, so it's kind of a wait and see scenario. It's not. I don't like. I mean, I played like Mario Soccer, like, so what is it, Strikers or whatever, like that. That's kind of fun. Or even on the DS, I have a soccer game, but it's Mario, right? It's part of that sports pack. So,
right.
FIFA's not a game I'm rushing out to buy. So Kirby Geek says it's the best choice for Europe.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it is the best choice for Europe. But the problem I have with it is they're putting supposedly their biggest title, right? So now if it doesn't meet their expectations for whatever reason, because people have already decided to buy on the system their friends have, they're setting it up for failure. It's only going to disappoint EA.
Well, we're also kind of talking in an echo chamber right now. I mean, none of us are looking to get it, but that's a lot of the reason for that is because America just isn't into. Oh,
don't get me wrong. I'll buy it.
Well, I mean, are we the biggest market for them, or are they looking to see like what EA is going to do internationally and then base it off of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing that surprises me is like, my son, who is like basically only plays Call of Duty and a little bit of Minecraft, is like, oh, FIFA's so fun. I'm like, what? Like, really? Like, and I have some other friends and stuff too that mainly play shooters, but I'm like, oh, you want to play Madden? They're like, oh, do you have FIFA? I'm like, no. So I mean, who knows? It may be like a bestseller on the Switch for all we know, just because it's not necessarily our cup of tea. Like, this game does really well, so it has to. You may not have a lot of people that talk about playing it, but I think there's a lot more people that play it than what we may realize. So,
agreed.
We'll see what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, hopefully it just works out and we get EA titles on the Switch. I mean, especially if there's some, come on, like a Mass Effect trilogy on the Switch, I'd be down.
I think that's the dream. I mean, not necessarily Mass Effect, but all the third-party games.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect.
So what else we got for news? Zero hater.
Hate Zero the hero.
Eric, can we just call him
Eric? What do we got?
HZ? You can call me whatever.
It's with a zero with an X though, so I'm still confused.
Zero, whatever. You'll figure it out, old man. A few retailers have been getting shipments of Switches this week. I personally, and multiple people I've talked to, have seen them on shelves in stores. Does this mean the shortage is slowly coming to an end and we can finally start getting systems in people's hands?
Oh, I hope not. What do you think, Logan?
I actually don't think this is. I think they're just coming in big shipments, and that once they get on shelves, I still have only been to a few stores that have gotten them in. But every time I go back, like a couple days later to check on Amiibo shipments and stuff, they're always gone. So, I mean, they're coming in and they're selling. It's just we're getting lucky and happening to see one, and since we aren't looking for one, we're not buying it right then and there.
Right.
So I'm happy. I'm happy to see them getting in stores. Hopefully, this will help out with the Christmas, and people won't be mad at Nintendo come the holiday season when it's even harder to get a hold of them. Maybe they're smart and they're picking them up early.
I saw 5 at a store, just sitting on the shelf. That was pretty crazy. I've seen 1 before in the wild. So
yeah, I've seen quite a few as well, and I mean, I feel like this is almost kind of a defining point for the system, because the Wii U quickly sold like almost 5 million units, and then after that it was a slow trickle. And so we know the Nintendo hardcore are out there. I want to see the Switch get to like the 6 or 7 million point, like relatively fast, so that it's like, because that's going to be some kind of red flags for me going, like,
well, something to think about is they released in March, so they haven't been through a proper holiday season yet.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah. I think their numbers that they've hit for being a March console launch is pretty remarkable so far. I mean,
the fact that they started in March and they kept selling them. They weren't on the shelves during E3, and that's usually when everyone's kind of holding off to wait and see, like, is there going to be a next gen announcement like the Xbox, and they're going to wait till that system and stuff. But they're not on shelves. They pop up in there once in a while. I think this is still a really good sign. I still think it's going to be way bigger than the Wii U was.
And I don't want to sound like like Chicken Little, the sky's falling, anything like that. Here's some of the proof that this system's doing better than the Wii U is, teenagers want to play this game. Want to play this system. My son bought his own, and anytime he shows it to his friends, they all want one. Like, he's already telling me, like, yeah, all my friends are asking for a Switch for Christmas. Well, they all played the Wii U. They've a lot of them probably played our Wii U or whatever, but they're like, whatever. It's cool. I'll come play it at your place, but I'll stick with my Xbox. Like, and really, so cool. Nintendo's sold to us, to this demographic of 30-year-old males, 35-year-old males, whatever, but it really is going to be these younger are the younger generations going to get into this thing? Because that's what happens. They have to market this thing to all generations. And so,
well, I haven't seen anyone that hasn't been impressed by the system, and I've got a 12-year-old nephew-in-law that I went and visited when I was on vacation this last week, and he had played in the Wii U like Splatoon and stuff, but he had never played the Zelda. He'd never gotten to play the Mario Kart 8 on there and stuff, and he got a hold of this thing, and he did not want to let go for the next 5 hours. Like, we were at a restaurant, he was playing Splatoon. He found out about Zelda and wanted to start Zelda, so I started him on a new account, and then next thing I know, like, dinner's done. We've all been sitting around chatting at the table, and it's time to go home. And he wants me to come over to his place so that we can hook it up on his big screen. And I'm guaranteed that it's not going to be long before I'm getting phone calls about like what's this thing called for my son, so that I can get him the right game and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it at all. So the last thing that I want to talk about, guys, is I wrote a quick article up about on the lootcave.com. Basically, Sony says the fact that Nintendo is back is good for gaming. And so I was kind of surprised to see this. But I mean, I like it. I like it. What was your guys' initial reaction when you saw when you saw what was going on with Sony and their reaction to the Switch and everything?
Well, I had two reactions. The first one was, wow, this article is really well written. Who wrote this? And then I saw it was Josh. So don't sleep on Josh. He can pump out some good articles. Give it a chance. Go over to the Loot Cave and watch it. But anyways, no, I think it makes total sense because Sony's not threatened by Nintendo. Nintendo's not coming to take the PS4 down. They're trying to nuzzle up next to it and be the ultimate complement to the Xbox or to the PS4. Because you're a kid, you can get one or the other, right? You get either a PS4 or an Xbox, and they do mostly the same things. But then now you're like, well, I have my PS4. I kind of want this Switch thing, which is completely different. It's kind of a handheld, kind of a console, but it's got Zelda and Mario and all these other cool things. I want that too. And the other thing is Nintendo's not afraid to push boundaries. I mean, they did it with the 64. They did it with the Wii, for better or for worse. And I think that's good for the industry.
Yeah, I'm really excited by this. The fact that other companies, competitors, essentially are happy to see the competition. I think right now that Sony's been on top for a while, and they're interested to see where Nintendo's going to go with this because Nintendo's always been the innovator. They've always been the ones that are willing to stretch their neck out to make a weird thing to see like how well it'll do, and then Sony comes right back with their Move controller or their Vita. And they try and compete in the markets where Nintendo's playing and realize, Nintendo's got the better IPs and typically the more interesting, more reliable hardware. And I just think that Sony always tends to look to Nintendo when they're ready to see like where's gaming going to go. And I think now that we see with the Switch, it's going to be portable. It's going to be home and portable. That Sony's going to take some big lessons from this and see like this is where chips are going. This is how people want to play, and it's possible now with technology. So I'm happy.
Yeah, it's so crazy reading the console wars and like everything was so cutthroat, and like Sega's goal was to take Nintendo down. Like that's all they wanted to do was to dethrone Nintendo, right? And then the stuff that happened with Nintendo and Sony, like I'm surprised that there's actually like they're cordial, because there was some serious bad blood back in the day. But now, like, Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, they all kind of just they congratulate each other when the system comes out, because I think they know as much as we do that when there's three of them that are competing, it's good for us because they want to be innovating. They want to be putting out the best possible product they can be. And like Hate said, leave it to Nintendo just to kind of keep it weird, and just kind of mix things up. So, let's get into these talking points, boys. Sonic Mania. Logan, you brought this up, so hit us.
Oh yeah. So I'm really excited for Sonic Mania, just because for one, it's Sonic Tuesday, and it was the first international like release date for a game ever. Like that was they were like, hey, these games used to just come in on the ships and they would pop up in stores like Switches are now, and people never really knew like when to expect it. And Sonic Tuesday was like the first one that I remember from the book saying that. I was like, hey, this is everywhere. This is how you're going to get Sonic 2. And I like Sonic Mania because it really is kind of like a throwback to that. And I was watching Lloyd and Kara from another podcast that they do over at Res TV, and they were kind of streaming some of the later levels and showing like it's not just like a basic Sonic game with Robotnik and stuff and Eggman and fighting robots. It's actually like a bunch of other of their games, like the Mr. Bean machine and just a bunch of new bosses that I've been seeing. And the thing that I love about this is that it wasn't really Sega that came from this. It was actually like a couple different companies that came together. Christian Whitehead was a guy that had kind of on his own decided to start porting Sega games to like the iPhone. Like he's like, oh, I'm just going to build an engine and kind of take these classic games and I'm going to port them over to my iPhone because that's where I want to play them because there's no Sega hardware that can emulate these things really well. And Sega originally was just like, yeah, no, that's not okay. That's kind of illegal. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of illegal, but I'm also really good. And they're like, he's actually pretty good. So they actually hired him to work with. It's so funny too.
I love it.
So he got hired on, and then they hired on Pagoda West, which is a couple of guys that were working on the Sonic 2 HD remake for the PlayStation, and they had been working on level design and sprite sounds and programming, and those guys came together, Headcanon and Pagoda West, and they made the Sonic Mania to really kind of just like emphasize like what a classic Sega Sonic game really is. And it's so great to see these things because I'm starting to notice it with other companies too, like and I'm not sure how much we'll get into it, but the Metroid game that is coming out was, there was a Metroid 2 remake that was out there, another Metroid 2 remake, and that guy just, he was tired of not having a Metroid game to play that was like the Super Nintendo Metroid, so he just decided to make his own version of that game. And Nintendo came out and they shut it down, as they should, with all of their IP. They got to protect it, which I understand. But he's actually been hired on as well, and that his remake was so perfect that the developers, the guys over at the Ori and the Will of the Wisps, they made the Ori games. They've pretty much hired this lead developer now to come and work on their games over at Moon Studios to help out because they see the potential. So I'm starting to notice that a lot of really talented people are taking existing IPs and kind of making their own games or redoing these older games, and it's getting noticed, it's getting publicity, which it's good that they're getting their name out there, and it's not so good that they're using IP that's copyrighted. But it's nice to see that they're getting shut down for legal purposes, but other people are trying to say like, hey, you did a really good thing, we see the potential, would you like to come work for us? And I think that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that happen.
Yeah, new content, whether you've created it from making old content again, is always good. Especially in a time where we're in a drought for really good retro games. Especially with the Switch, we're not getting the information about Virtual Console that we want. And I'm sure there's tons of guys out there, or people in general, that have the Wii and the Wii U and the 3DS that have like Virtual Console games, and they don't want to buy these games. But for everyone else, it's like, let's go hunt down NES Classics through GameStop or wait for pre-order announcements for the SNES Mini. It'll happen. We could probably talk an entire show about the Virtual Console or lack of.
Yeah, it'll definitely be something we hit in the near future, but
for sure.
It's funny because it reminds me of these I can't remember the name of the movie. It's like Catch Me If You Can or whatever, right? Back in the day, like you have all these hackers that end up getting hired because they've hacked into something they shouldn't, and they need to actually help stop.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty cool that you see these people that are just, they're passionate about something, they're creating something they love, and what ends up being like a bummer, like when that Metroid game got shut down, then he ends up getting hired by another studio, right? Or even with this Sonic thing. And I mean, look, this Sonic this Sonic game is awesome, and we haven't really had an awesome Sonic game since the Sega days, right? I mean, there's some of the ones on the Game Boy and stuff, like I said, were fun, but like this feels like the game we were playing back in the 90s. And it's just simple, like one button, right? Like just jump and move. That's pretty much it. So
they even map 2 buttons on the Switch just to make sure if you weren't sure which button to press. There's 2 jump buttons just for the sake of
all 4 of them.
All 4 of them?
Yeah, all 4 of them jump. So you can hit whichever one you feel like. So,
I found one and I was happy, and then I found out the other one and I was just like, oh, that's double the jump, double the fun.
Yeah, that's convenient.
But 4.
That's convenient. So hey, you brought a question up here too. It says, how can Nintendo bridge the gap with this console generation?
Yes. So I'm looking for either of you or both of you. So the main question is, coming out late, they're 2-3 years behind in this console generation, if you call them generations anymore. Is there anything they can do without answering third-party support, because that's obvious, to bridge that gap? And then follow on is, what can they do to make this console more successful than the Wii U or previous Nintendos?
I mean, I think they have to do what they're doing. This is the first system we saw marketed at all. We saw Super Bowl ads. We see billboards. We see just kind of this just marketing period, where the Wii U was like, is this a peripheral that's going to be an add-on? Nobody knew what it was, right? They didn't inform the consumer at all. They've been very clear on what the Switch is. Right? You hear that sound, you hear that snap, and you know that that's the Switch, right? This is the system that you can pull out and walk your dog while you're holding it. Like, I don't recommend that, by the way. Like, if your dog decides to go for a run while you're holding your Switch,
don't walk your dog.
No,
just play the Switch. Don't walk the dog.
Not a good idea. But they've created something that, when we first when I remember we were watching it, we were all in my stream, and we were like, hey, there's no gimmicks. Then they showed 1-2 switch, and we were like, oh no, there's the gimmick. And then we saw arms, and we're like, oh, there's the gimmick, but the crazy thing is they've stuck with it. They've stuck with the gimmick, and in this system, it works. 1-2 switch, love it or hate it, it's still pretty fun party game, and it's like the HD rumble and stuff in that game is crazy. So, arms played without the controller, like just using it to actually swing using the motion controls. They did an excellent job. Like, to the point that, I mean, I wouldn't even mind seeing Punch-Out, like with a similar control scheme. Or something.
It'd be awesome. Fight Night, Punch-Out, something like that. I think it would kill on this system.
Yeah, and they've really nailed it. And so I think that's a big part of it, And you put something here, something deeper than third party support, and I mean it does need to be more than that. But I mean, we've already seen with Capcom, Street Fighter did well, so they're re-releasing Resident Evil. I can't remember. Revelations. There you go.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
Yeah, and so that was, initially I think was just coming to PS4 and Xbox, and they're like, oh, it did, like Street Fighter did well, it's going to the Switch too. So now we're seeing the Switch is competing with the big boys, even though it's not necessarily a PS4 killer or an Xbox One killer, whatever. All of a sudden, here we go. Like, we're seeing it, and that's a good thing.
Oh, great.
I would actually say that Nintendo doesn't need to try and bridge the gap between the generation. With all of their games so far, they're locking in the 60 frames per second, which is generally the best thing. Most of their IP is stylized, so resolution's important, but quality of realism for their graphics isn't a huge issue. We're always going to look at Mario and understand he's a little round. He doesn't need to be super. I don't need to see the 5 o'clock shadow for me to understand it's Mario. So I think with chips getting better, faster, running more efficiently, where they're not needing to have like big fans, I'm sure that we'll get better iterations of the Switch as time goes on. So I don't think that they necessarily need to compete on that level. I think what they need to do is keep these little mini 1 month big hit games coming for the next year. We know it's coming out up until December. They're doing that hour-long thing at, I think it's PAX West. They have an hour-long thing going on, and we have no clue what they're going to talk about. But I'm really hoping that they might let on a little bit more about Yoshi, that they might let on a little bit more about some of their games coming out next year to kind of let us know, like, hey, we still got stuff down the pipeline.
I'm calling it right now. It's Smash and Animal Crossing. That's simple.
I would love that. I think it's going to be a little bit more of Mario, and we might see some stuff on. We'll probably see some more stuff. I would love to see Pikmin 4 and Animal Crossing. I could hold off on Switch with Splatoon out right now.
If it isn't any of those, you can hit me up on Twitter at N64Josh. I will take all complaints there.
I thought he was finally going to announce his Twitter. Oh my gosh, this guy. This guy. Yeah, I mean, look, Nintendo can go. I mean, they can go and pull up more of the Wii U ports. What are we going to get with Smash? Is it going to have new characters? It's going to be like the Pokken thing? More than likely. I mean, more than likely that'll end up being the case. What I want though, and like is I want to see, and I've said it on here like the last 2-3 weeks, I want to see Metroid be the game that people are clamoring to play. Right? That like it's actually an excellent shooter that's not just this adventure game, but like something that could be competitive. And
does Metroid need to be rated M?
No,
yes.
It doesn't. No.
Yes.
See, and I knew that would get a different answer because I think it could be great as a rated M title.
I think giving it the M rating is giving us an opportunity to explore a story, or at least a genre that Nintendo doesn't really branch into. And then I'm not saying it needs to be like M forever, but at least giving them the opportunity to, like, when I think of a rated M Metroid, I hope for like a Deadpool movie. Like, we had PG-13 superhero movies forever. Deadpool came out. It was for adults, but man, that was such a good movie. And that's what I would hope for with a rated M Metroid Prime. That's what I would expect to see, something that's going to really push the limits on an emotional level, while still retaining the IP that we love, still getting Samus.
Well, I mean, who loves Metroid? It's not the 14-year-olds typically, right? I mean, do they even know what Metroid? Okay, but they love Call of Duty, and what's Call of Duty rated? They love Battlefront and Battlefield.
And Josh, you were saying that right now the hardcore Nintendo fans are us 35-year-olds. You know, bald spots and all. We're the current hardcore demographic. We're the ones that grew up with it the longest. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think that if NVC's anything to have as like a basis, Metroid is an adult franchise. It's a plus 18 franchise that is ready and waiting for something that's going to really just, make us amazed. It's going to make that great console experience and make it on the go. And I'm more than willing to accept that it's going to be a rated M, and parents are going to buy it for their kids anyway, with a couple minor exceptions.
Yeah, to me, it just would seem out of place. Because, I mean, what are they going to add a bunch of profanity? What's going to really make it rated M? You know what I mean? It's like, usually it's a game that there's hardly any dialogue.
More explosions, more guns. You know,
Are you talking about
that was just a talking point. But, yeah.
Well, it's not even so much that it's like, what do they have to put in to make it rated M? It's giving them like room to breathe, basically, instead of saying, no, it has to be rated, T for teen. It can't stretch past that, and just get away from the limitations of what a T for teen rating would have on it, and give it the opportunity to do anything they want with an M rating, even if it doesn't utilize all of the explicit stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and look, if it like really was edgy or whatever, like that could be a selling point for the game. Don't get me wrong, but it I don't. It just would see. I would rather see them go to something like Eternal Darkness 2 or something like that to like get into a different, even a new IP that maybe has more adult themes and that kind of stuff. But I just think for me, I don't know. What I want to see. I mean, look, I've been playing Destiny forever. It's rated T. Like I don't even notice that it's missing like blood and that kind of stuff. Which I mean, look, go back to Halo 1. There's a little bit of blood splatter, and the Marines have a little bit of language, but the game really didn't even it didn't even need an M rating if you think about some of the games that have the M rating today, right?
Right.
But the game is still Halo is a blast, right? For me, I just want to see Metroid get the gameplay nailed down. I want them to have that Bungie magic of 30 seconds of fun.
Would you say you want them to make Metroid great again?
Oh my gosh!
I'm just question.
That might be.
It's like he's just like trying to poke you.
I'm just wondering.
He's just like,
do you want
trying to wake the bear
again? We got to make Metroid great again. That's the goal.
Oh my gosh. For those of you that just listen, the way he puts his hands out, it just makes me want to punch him so hard. Like that's it. Like, I mean, it's a friendly punch, but it happens.
I saw you with the platypus earlier.
That's right.
I know what you're capable of.
Here we go. Well, guys, let's do this giveaway here. I'm going to attempt to do it with Nightbot. So anybody that's in here, it's in the chat. Real quick, just type 1 because it makes you look like a more active user. And so everybody just type something in the chat real quick. Just type 1.
Type the name of the person who you think is the best caster on the show.
Actually, here we go.
That's a dangerous game.
Yeah, just type 1.
Who's your favorite kid?
I've been voted off the island.
Everybody just type 1 that you want to be entered here. So we're gonna con types a 0. It still enters you goofball. So okay. There we go.
Drummer's got a double entry.
Right.
He's excluded.
No, it doesn't enter more than once. Everybody's good.
Gonna give them a couple seconds. We can talk about retro stuff and come back to it. Did it already pull those? So anyone who's like walked away from their PC?
It might. I'm just going to hit it real quick so that everybody's entered that's in here. So here we go. I'm just gonna hit roll it. Let's see what happens because I've never done this with Nightbot before, so it's my first time. Here we go.
Don't let us down, Nightbot.
Okay.
Kenzie.
So is Ken's in here? Is he here?
He is. He was the third one to enter.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
he was quick.
There you go. Ken's, you are our winner.
You have won the golden ticket.
Go ahead and whisper me, and I will whisper you the $20 code so that you can download Sonic Mania.
Congrats, man.
And technically, you could download whatever you want, but if you don't get Sonic with it, we'll find you. We will find you. The intent is Sonic. Get Sonic.
Congrats, Kens. Let's get some hype in the chat, guys, for Kens. Hey, what's the last question? What do we got for our little retro corner tonight?
Well, we don't have a lot, but we've got a question. So we will start with Logan. What is your one first-party Nintendo game to rule them all? If you had to choose one, going back, what is it?
Oh man, the one that would be the best.
Your best. It could be a terrible. I mean, it could be E.T. or something. It doesn't matter. Just what is your game?
I could potentially pick The Boy and His Blob. Okay, so that's good to know.
That game.
That's good.
You feed the licorice, he turns into a bubble, turns into a ladder.
We don't have to talk about what he turns into. It's okay.
All right.
No. I would have to say that Super Mario Brothers 3 is by far it's the second tattoo I ever got of Mario and his raccoon tail flying through the sky.
Yeah.
That game personifies what Super Mario is. It was at the top of its game. It warranted its own movie, California. And it's just one of those ones that you could pick up and play anytime and have a ball with.
Tons of replayability.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, what about you? What is the one?
The one.
Doesn't have to be the best game.
You got more time to think about
What
this
is
too.
your game?
Yeah,
he just looked at the show notes.
The one game. The one first-party Nintendo game to rule them all. I mean, even in following with the theme of the question, I think I'd have to go with Zelda.
Well, okay. I need a specific. So very first Zelda.
Which Zelda though?
Oh,
that's the tough one.
Oh,
Single game, not series.
Yeah. That would be a toss up between Ocarina and Link to the Past. I think that would.
I'm gonna say he's gonna have to narrow it down.
Yeah, I agree.
Pick one or the other.
Oh my goodness, you guys!
We can't have you flip flopping.
Yeah, this isn't pancakes and waffles. This isn't ketchup and mayo.
This isn't Birkenstocks with stocks.
Yeah,
let's stocks.
I think Ocarina.
Ooh, excellent choice.
Yeah,
a good choice.
Excellent choice.
Yeah, how about you?
Mine is also Ocarina of Time. 8-0, the hero. Mine is also Ocarina of Time. It's the one game that sells systems for me. Like I can replay it and buy it again and replay it and buy it again. And when they launch it on the Switch, I'm going to buy it again. I just love the game. I'll play it forever.
That is a really good game. That definitely changed how I felt about most quality of games. Like the story in that was so riveting to me that I can't think of any game that really made me understand like what a story in a game should be.
So Drummer said Last of Us in the chat, and if we were going non-Nintendo, I would have to agree with him. Last of Us is got the best storytelling I've ever seen in a video game.
Is that a Nintendo game?
It should be.
It should be.
Go ahead, Naughty Dog, bring your stuff to Nintendo. I'll allow it.
That should be a Nintendo
I'll allow
game.
it. Yeah, but then it'll be like rated teen, and it's just not the same. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. The storytelling was one of the first games that had just that depth to the story that I can remember, or at least that's the first one that hooked me.
Yeah, definitely. It was one where you felt directly involved in the success of saving the world. The whole time thing really kind of throws it for a loop too. You get little Link and you get big Link, and it was such a satisfying feeling to finally get to the Temple of Time and pull the Master Sword and wake up 7 years later and you're adult Link and the whole world changes as a result. You're bigger.
Spoilers, Destinot still hasn't played it.
He hasn't
spoilers.
Finished it.
No, he has not played it. He hasn't not finished it. He has not played it.
Well, I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but I know there's wolves and dragons. So there's some context.
If you see Destinot, boo that man.
No, don't do that.
Boo him until he plays Ocarina of Time. That is not a request. It is a demand.
Okay. You guys are crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. Well, hey, let's put a bow on this thing. Logan, where can people find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/capt Logan, CAPT_LOGUN, because I'm weird. And same capt_Logan at Twitter. I do a couple articles once in a while for the Nintendo Powercast over at the Loot Cave. So if you have questions or if you're interested, hit me up there. I love having good discussions, as well as Discord. I'm always trolling Discord and streams whenever I can.
Indeed.
0 Hatron 30
80 the hero. You can find me on the Discord. I will be cementing a name soon, and the Twitter account will follow that name. But I've got a special thing to say. Tune in next week, and Josh is going to eat a toothbrush.
Oh my gosh. I don't.
Sounds awesome.
The cheesy jokes are what. If you need to leave a bad review, please just put 5 stars and then just
But
tell
don't
me.
do it before he eats the toothbrush next week, live
my
Tuesday at 8-ish p.m.
Oh man. Sidewinder is asking why Destinot isn't on the Powercast anymore, and he is taking a break from all podcasting right now. So
a lot of it,
a
lot of it is because of playing Ocarina of Time.
And it's the jokes that Hate keeps telling is probably another reason. So I'm not going to eat an electric toothbrush, Kirby Geek, but thank you for the suggestion.
Regular Oral-B toothbrush, not a sponsor.
Kid size, yeah. Okay, well, what am I supposed to do now? Oh yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at N64Josh. Guys, you're going to find me on Twitch at N64Josh. You're going to find this show live at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when my computer works. And guess what? I have a PC coming very soon, so we won't be dealing with these technical difficulties much anymore. And if you're watching this on YouTube and none of our voices sync up with our mouths, yeah, that's also going to be fixed by the PC. So everybody that hung out with us live, thank you so much. Sidewinder, Drummer, Kirby, Andrew, Henny, Ken's, let's see, anybody else that I'm missing? G.I. Jello, Sneaky Sniper,
Alex Seltzertini was in there at one point.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Anybody that's just lurking tonight, we really appreciate you. I do want to say, guys, check out my Instagram. I'm having a blast taking pictures of Nintendo stuff. So I'm kind of just grabbing stuff for my collection and just snapping pictures on a daily basis, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. So check that out. Remember, you can get yourself a free book from Audible by going to audibletrial.com/NPC. Help support this show, and you get yourself a free book, so we really appreciate that. And you can find all of the show notes with the links to Captain Logan's Twitter and Twitch and all that stuff, as well as mine, at thelootcave.com/NPC32. So
yes,
there you go. That's where we're at. Thank you so much. If you do have a second, can leave us a review on iTunes. We'd really, really appreciate it. We want to get this thing into the top 200. So sharing it with your friends and giving us reviews are the two best things you can do to help us get more eyes and ears on what we're doing. So thanks again. And we'll see you guys next week.